and welcome to episode 2 of the FPL Community Game Challenge thing that we want to go through. I've taken your comments, I've had a look, and this is the starting squad, potentially, with a week to go until the Premier League season kicks off. This is what we are looking at for the Cultured Left Foot Fantasy Football Squad. So, goalkeeper, we had recommendations of Patricio and Nick Pope. I put them both in and then decided that we didn't need two pretty damn good goalkeepers, to be honest. They were very good recommendations, both of them. But we've dropped Nick Pope. So let me know what you think about that. We've got Eric Nyland in from Aston Villa, who at the moment don't really have a standout goalkeeper. Rumour is they're going to be going for Sergio Romero, so that might be someone to look at to see what to see how it's going. If he does make the move, I would definitely be more than happy to have Sergio Romero as a backup goalkeeper. But for now, we've gone for Eric Nyland to play backup to Patricio. Patricio will probably play every single game, I imagine, every single week for us in fantasy football. We've got defenders. We have Chilwell, recently moved to Chelsea. I picked him into the team when he was still at Leicester. He's now moved to Chelsea. He could potentially be out with a foot injury for a while, but Chilwell comes in. Kieran Tierney, good fullback, solid. Arsenal aren't going to concede that many goals this season compared to lots of other teams in the Premier League, so I think he's a solid pick. Joe Gomez, I think he's going to be Virgil van Dijk's centre-back partner for the majority of the season this year. Joel Matip will play occasionally, but I think Joe Gomez is going to start alongside Virgil van Dijk, so I think getting him at that price, which was very, very cheap, I think is a bargain. Okay, why don't they include price in here either? It's very annoying. But happy with that. And Matt Targett. Now, Matt Targett has been a bit of a tactical pick because rumour has it. Now, I like Matty Targett. I think he's a good left back. I think he's a decent player. I think he was one of Aston Villa's probably better performing players last season. But he's been picked because rumour has it Leicester are trying to buy him to replace Ben Chilwell. So if he then gets a move to Leicester, I think that's a very smart move in terms of fantasy football. He is actually not playing in the first game week. So that gives me a brilliant opportunity to talk about the other defender that we've got who's genuinely going to sit on the bench. Adam Webster from Brighton and Hove Albion. Not an ideal week for him to be playing for us in the first week. It's Chelsea. It is at Brighton, but I do think Chelsea are going to absolutely steamroll Brighton in the first game, but we'll see what happens. Webster comes in. It was a relatively new signing. Big money. Played quite a lot. Potter likes him, the manager of Brighton and Hove Albion. I think it will be a good acquisition to pick up. Again, back three will genuinely be Gomez, Tierney, Chilwell, and then we'll go for, we'll get onto the midfield because that's where most of the money's gone. So, first up in the midfield is Ollie Burke from West Brom. Again, he's not actually going to be our vice captain. I just haven't sorted that out yet. Ollie Burke, West Brom, played a little bit last season, not a lot. He's there as a he's just going to sit on the bench option, really. He's not where it gets exciting. Aubameyang, listed as a midfielder. I think I'd be very surprised if his numbers for team picked in team percentages aren't up and around the 95% mark. He's going to be in a lot of teams, but I think he's one of those players that because he's listed as a midfielder, you can't afford to miss out on him. You've got to have him in your team because when he scores big points, he's going to score big points for a lot of teams. So Aubameyang is in. Højbjerg comes in. That was recommended on stream. We did a little bit of this tactical tweaks and player tweaks on stream as well over on Twitch. Højbjerg comes in, suggested by Ross, the Spurs fan. But yeah, I think he could play quite a lot. Could pick up a couple of assists here and there, a few goals. You never really know. Pulisic comes in, another one that we thought would be a really good player to have. He had a very good breakout season for Chelsea last year in terms of it. I say breakout in terms of him performing for Chelsea. Obviously, he's played for Dortmund. It's not a breakout season in that sense. But yeah, I think he could be very, very good again this season. That's Pulisic, Aubameyang, and De Bruyne, who is currently on the bench because Man City aren't playing in the first week of the season. That could be a lot of points. That could be a hell of a lot of points when it comes to a midfield three, which I'm very, very excited about. And then into the strikers. Raul Jimenez scored me quite a lot of points last year in my private fantasy football thing I do with my friends, so I'm happy to pick him up again. Mitrovic, because Mitro's on fire. If you've ever watched the Man United save, FIFA career mode save, you'll understand what that's about. And I think, it's likely to be that when Fulham score, Mitrovic is going to score the goals. Martial on the bench as well, because, again, he doesn't have a game in the first week of the season. So, if it's going to be our strongest three and everybody's fit, Webster would come off to be replaced by De Bruyne. Burke would come out to be replaced by Martial, and we'd line up in what I think is a very strong 3-4-3 for most weeks of the season. I do think that is a very strong team. It would be Aubameyang as captain. It would then be De Bruyne as vice captain. And yeah, I think that's got a lot of points in it. I'm very interested to know what you guys think. Let me know down below. What transfers do you think we should get in? Is there anyone we're missing? So a bit of background. We had De Bruyne, Aubameyang, Bruno Fernandes, Ollie Burke, and then another really crappy Jonathan Lecco from Crystal Palace, who's now actually moved to Birmingham City. So he had to be dropped. We didn't have Martial. We had Jimenez, Chris Wood from Burnley, and Danny Ings. So would you prefer a front three of Danny Ings, Chris Wood, and Raul Jimenez, but also then have Bruno Fernandes available to play in the midfield? Or this team that we have right here? I think the defence I'm pretty set with. I think Target will have to keep an eye on. If he gets his move to Leicester, I think it makes sense to keep him in. Webster, I'm open to suggestions if you think there's, either better value defenders for the same price or someone else that I should be looking at in defence. The midfield is absolutely brilliant. It does get better if you put Bruno Fernandes in there, but then we have to give up strikers. So I do know that we can go for Bruno Fernandes instead of Pulisic. We can get rid of Højbjerg and put in a cheaper midfielder, and then our strike force would be Chris Wood, Danny Ings, and Raul Jimenez. So that's just a little quick, brief 10-minute sort of update for how it's looking at the moment. We've got 1 week to finalise this team, so I'm very keen to know your comments down below, who you think we should get in, what's wrong with this team, what's good with this team. What should we be looking at in terms of players? Is the bench strong enough for when we want to play our bench boost for 1 week? Do we spread the money out more? Do we avoid going for superstars? Do we try and get the most superstars in? I'm looking for your feedback on all of that sort of information to let me know what's happening. We have exactly 1 week until is that right? Is it 1 week or is it 2 weeks? We have exactly 2 weeks until the season kicks off, not 1 week. So we will come back next week for a review of your comments, see what's happening, see what people think. And then it's 1 more week to make changes. We'll come in and on Friday, we'll go through and pick our team for the first week. And then the Friday after that, we'll come back, review the results, and then pick the team for the next week, and so on, and so on, and so on. Maybe we'll do it on a Monday or a Tuesday. I'm not too sure on dates yet, but that's how it's looking at the moment. Thank you so much for all your contributions. I'm very excited about this. It's going to be basically like a 10-minute video once a week just to see how this goes. But thank you so much for watching. For now, I'm out. Cheers.